We don't roll on purpose. We don't crash on purpose.
Here comes the scores for BIGFOOT after a great run to start it off.
But the drivers go out and give the best that they can do with the trucks, and every once in a while something happens, you know.
Through the years, the shows have changed so much, from driving over cars to jumping over cars. Well, now, you know, it amazes me what they can do in what we subject them to. You know, we'll take a truck with an axle like this, and we'll jump a 727 airplane. Now, I was there personally. I set up the jump and worked on it. I was running the radar gun when Mr. Dan Runte jumped a 727 airplane.
Probably wasn't one of my smarter moves, but I was young and dumb.
But you know what, I mean, it's rough.
Good run, bro.
Rough ride. Wow.
We were asked by a promoter to jump an airplane, and we kind of laughed at him. I says, yeah, right, you know, and we come back to the shop and we start thinking about that. You know, it's very possible.
Now, you don't just, as a driver, get in a truck not being 100% confident that, you know, this baby's going to get me on the ground in one piece. And he had no qualms about that because he's run this truck every year, you know, through the years in races. And we run 11 months out of a year. We're usually running every weekend. Very hard shows, from simple car crashes to long jumps and just different things like that. So we know that they can take the punishment. And without that bit of confidence in the back of his head, I don't think he would have climbed in the seat and tried to jump this airplane, set a world record. But he did. He came down, and it was good shape. You know, the truck actually bent the frame on it just a little bit on that first jump over that airplane.
Years ago, when we actually took a truck and we did a lot of tests and a lot of research, but we jumped a Boeing 727. And I say we because there's a lot that went into that. I mean, company-wise as well as equipment-wise, and even getting a truck to speed, you know. The transfer case gears, the ZF axle housings, where we hadn't had an option to get that kind of speed out of a monster truck, that really made us capable of doing that. I mean, all the way to right up when they built the ramp down there in Tennessee for us to do that. You know, guys were going by and they were actually looking at the ramp. People that worked at the base down there and asked us 3 days in a row, when are you going to finish the ramp? When are you going to finish the ramp? The ramp's done.
This was about a year and a half before we actually did it. We end up taking, when we had time, the trucks are booked pretty regularly, so when we had a few weeks, we'd take a truck, go out to an open field, put markers on there so we could see how high it jumped and how high the ramp would be, and we'd practice with different size ramps, see how high it would go. And, you know, in fact, in one of the tests, we actually rolled a truck just in the test. But we found out that it is possible. You know, we found out what speed we need to do. We found out what angle the ramp has to be. We found out, you know, how the truck was going to land, and it was drive away and everything.
But the equipment itself was 100% up. I felt it was 100% up. The guys that were working for us at that time, even Bob and Jim, and you know, they put a lot into this, and it built my confidence to the point where I thought we were capable of it. You know, the only part that I really argued on that whole thing was the speed that they had figured to get over that. I sat there and I looked at it for 3 days, and I'm like, no, we're going to hit this a little faster. And I got in the truck and I strapped in, and I can tell you to this day it was probably one of the most humbling experience I ever had. But another guy that was driving for us at the time actually slapped me on the helmet and said, "You got this," and he disappeared. And I was there all by myself. And it was just that moment that it's like, wow, we really got, there's 36,000 people over there that are waiting to see this happen. And Eric, like I said, he slapped me on the helmet and left. He said, "How are you going to hit this?" I said, "As fast as this will go." And I did. So it put us a little higher in the air and a little further out there. And the landing was brutal. I'm not going to lie, it was a bad car wreck. The housings held up fine. I can't say so much about the front shocks and the chassis. We actually, it hit so hard on the bump stop in the front that it pushed the chassis up. We were able to drive the truck back to the crowd, get out and wave and kind of celebrate at that point. But in passing over the airplane, because of the pyro that was there, that's probably one of the things that sticks most in my mind, because the pyro went off about the time I crossed the plane, and I seen the tail section down there. So it was a launch, the tail section, and then a sudden crash on the other side, you know. And it really was. It says a lot for the way our equipment's built and the housings that we run. I mean, nothing else is going to take that. The bounce was 100 foot. From the time it hit the ground until the time it hit the second time was almost 100 foot. We jumped 202, and the first bounce was a little bit over 100. So it was a rough landing, but wow, it was incredible.
And all of a sudden, the whole monster truck industry goes, what just happened?
But you want to entertain the crowd, and you always have to do more and more and more.